As the prophet of esports, I rely on trustworthy and meaningful data every day. Data from our research partner YouGov offers the most complete view of esports fans and gamers in the world, providing context to who they are, what they think, the brands they buy, and things they do. YouGov's connected insights and research services inform strategy at every level. If you're a team, a brand, agency, or rights holder, you should be talking with YouGov. Their partners measure and maximize ROI and are telling compelling stories with data. Visit yougov.com/gaming-esports to learn more.
YouTube in the news. And again, I have 3 stories. This is sort of like trios of stories here, giving you different angles on the same story. And this article was Sykkuno moves to YouTube gaming. So Sykkuno, a well-known Twitch streamer, basically leaving Twitch to go to YouTube. He's going to stream exclusively on YouTube. They didn't disclose how much he was getting paid, but they did. There was comments that he was getting paid by YouTube, obviously, to make the switch. So there was some payment. Now, I put this next to 2 other stories that came out this week, which I don't think it's a surprise that these 2 stories came out because they were basically in reaction to the Sykkuno move and also to rumors that other streamers were moving with Sykkuno, part of like maybe even Pokimane and some others that may have been thinking of making the move. But this was Dr. Disrespect, who's on YouTube, by the way, claims YouTube gaming doesn't support us one bit. It says the subheadline, "Such a phony industry I'm in," said the streamer who resolved a legal dispute with Twitch earlier in the year. Basically, he just said, they don't support us one bit. He unfollowed YouTube gaming. Why would I support them? And so he has expressed frustration with YouTube. Obviously, his following has gone down since he switched to YouTube. He doesn't, draw nearly the live crowds he had while he was on Twitch. But him showing his displeasure at YouTube gaming. And then one last story here. Again, third angle on the same story. Asmongold calls out YouTube gaming, says Mixer was better. The Twitch veteran shared his thoughts on YouTube streaming section. So Asmongold, one of the top creators in the world, top streamers in the world, he said that YouTube gaming basically was worse than Mixer and that Twitch is way better in terms of discoverability. YouTube's live streaming section is not good for viewers trying to find a creator pertaining to their interests. And he says, this is when Ludwig moved over, he says, Ludwig's on contract, non-disparagement clause. I'm not, the streamer said. It's effing garbage. It's absolute trash. It's probably the worst thing I've seen ever. Mixer was better than this, and Mixer is in the toilet. If YouTube was built around live streaming, it would be in the dumpster. Fix it tomorrow. So, very strong feelings here around YouTube, despite more streamers making the move from Twitch to YouTube. Other than me being spectacularly right about the gross mismanagement at YouTube gaming, I'm curious what you guys think about all of this and about streamers still moving over, despite people who are on the platform like the doc complaining. Is it foolhardy for YouTube? Like, give me some thoughts in terms of why is YouTube still paying streamers to switch? Maybe Lindsay, start with that.
It's just so funny to me. Like this whole thing it was Valkyrie that was like, I have 1 month left. What should I stream? I'm so behind. LOL. And then like a month later, they were giving her a reward, or an award rather.
Yeah,
streamy for like top streamer. It just like never stops being cringy, and you have all these top level people being like, "Hey, here's a bunch of ways you could fix it." And YouTube Gaming's like, "Nah, we're just gonna keep throwing money away," and like, it just keeps happening. I mean, it's hilarious to watch. Like there are clear and actionable things that several powerful streamers have laid out, and we just have gotten absolutely nothing. Like it reminds me of the meme that's like, "Yes, sis, give us nothing." Like that's YouTube to me. I just like can't handle it. It's so funny to me.
I mean, but they had maybe the worst leadership in all of gaming for the last few years, right? Fwiz has recently moved to, I don't know, like this is the definition of failing upwards, I guess. But, basically failed miserably at YouTube, and now you're seeing some of these consequences, right? Like when you don't innovate for years and years, this is typically what happens. But like, is no one surprised that at YouTube, no one has raised their hand and said, maybe we should stop, signing checks for creators? Or is it too far gone? Like, what? Give me some insight, guys, what you think is going on inside the boardroom at YouTube Gaming.
I don't know. I find it a bit distasteful that a lot of these people are like taking these payouts and then like going in and just complaining. It's like Dr. Disrespect gets kicked off Twitch, gets tens of millions of dollars to join YouTube, and it's like, oh, you're not supporting me enough. Like, I don't know. Part of me just like wants to like, take out the pitchforks and just like be like, dude, just, I don't know, whatever, get out of here. But maybe there's something where YouTube is trying to cater to the longer tail, and some of these people feel as though they're not getting the love and support that they deserve, but whereas YouTube is providing tools for the longer tail. I don't know that that's the case, but I would be curious to see what these guys want, because I didn't see in any of those things that any concrete, like, hey, I want a tool that allows me to better, manage the stream, the chat, or I want, whatever, pick another tool. It's just like, oh, you're not giving me enough respect, or you're not helping me. What does that mean? Does Dr. Disrespect want someone from YouTube to like come over every night and like make dinner for him? Like, what is he actually asking for? I don't see any like concrete demand.
Better discoverability.
Well, that was Asmongold, in fairness, but yes, Asmongold did make specific.
But better discoverability is incredibly subjective, right? Like, discoverability may mean that the algorithm is giving people more choice. So Asmongold might not be the only person getting views. That actually might be good for viewers and good for the platform, but bad for Asmongold. So it's easy to complain if you're Asmongold. You're like, well, I'm used to getting 90% of the viewership of World of Warcraft, and now it's, instead of 90%, I'm getting 60%. But the viewers might like that better because they're getting more choice and more, more interesting creators. Like, that's not great for him, but that might be good overall. I don't know that that's the case. I'm obviously playing devil's advocate, but like, you can't always take one person's demands and be like, well, okay, that's what everyone needs or wants.
Except it's not one, right? That's the crux of this. It seems 1%. To be a continuous stream of people who say YouTube gaming's garbage. It's hard. Like, I think it's a strong point, Jeff. If it's like it's one person with nothing specific and it's just sort of, old man yelling at cloud, but this feels like deeper issue that multiple people have all identified and complained about, and even someone on the outside called it literally years ago. So, I don't know.
They need to stop. They need to shut it down. They need to redirect into other efforts. They need to fire legal that didn't include the non-disparagement clause in half the contracts. How do you give someone $10 million and let them shit talk you? The only thing I'll say, I guess, that I don't put totally on YouTube is like, okay, Doc, you don't like it, but like, you didn't need a live stream from the bathroom and get kicked off of Twitch, in the first place. So what are your options really, But in all seriousness, to your point, right? Like, it's multiple perspectives, multiple people over a long period of time, all with a similar experience, all hating on this thing.
And yet some are still switching.
And
there's still people switching, right?
That's because there's checks involved, though, right?
Yeah, but it's like, it's like a restaurant getting like 2-star reviews and people still deciding to go eat there. Right? The reviews all say, hey, I got sick the day after. I was, puking my guts.
Yeah, but if someone says, I'll pay you $2,000 to go eat at a 2-star restaurant, I'm in.
Yeah, but then if you do that and then complain about it, it's like, well, it's on you.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You can go and say, it was worth 2 stars. What is that? Like,
maybe Doc didn't know, but now, like a Sykkuno, a year later with all these reviews, I think Jeff makes a good point. He can't really complain. He can, but he shouldn't, because he's going in eyes wide open.
I think
what has actually happened is these people lost audience, and they can't accept the fact that the audience isn't there for them. It's actually there for Twitch, and their little egos can't take it, so they blame YouTube, and they like come and cry. Oh, Doc's like, oh, I used to get all these millions of viewers, now I get half. Like, it must be YouTube's fault. No, Doc, you're just not as popular as you think. And if you were, then you'd continue to get the viewership.
In an extremely rudimentary cursory search of Twitch versus YouTube, Twitch has bots that help you in aiding things, extensions that help you create, a community element that helps you build people, and better fan engagement. So there are like
the tools are better, no question.
Yeah. So saying like, the tools stuck over here is not like unreasonable when there's clearly actionable things that make the tools
but then don't stream
better.
They're not unless they're getting paid.
Right.
Like, no one's moving
And
without
if you're
a paycheck.
getting paid, then don't complain publicly.
Why can't
It's
you
one or the
pay?
other.
Why can't you complain publicly if you're getting paid? What does that matter? As long as there's not a non-disparagement clause, if you're not violating anything legally.
I mean, it's like people
Fighting
complaining about their employer, right, on Glassdoor or whatever, right? They're getting paid. They still take the time to complain.
Be a better employer. I don't know.
True. Let me just get caught up on some comments here. David says, what's going on, everyone? Just want to give a quick shout out. Loving today's show, David. So good to have you here. The Doc hates every game he plays. It's hard to take him seriously when he wants to shit all over Overwatch 2. Besides, it's just a beta. David, don't get me started, because I'm going to shit all over Overwatch 2.
Yeah, I don't know.
Chris says, Twitch streamers are chasing the Mr. Beast dream. YouTube won't change because there's a method to success. Yeah. I mean, but the Twitch streamers are making, like, the top ones, like the Asmengolds, are making millions on Twitch, right? So it's not like the Mr. Beast dream is unattainable on Twitch.
Also, as a counterpoint, all of my favorite like sketch comedy YouTubers have basically all moved to Twitch because the monetization is better. And these are people who are getting millions of views on their uploaded content, they don't use the live service platform.
I mean, I saw this coming years away, just because you could be the biggest, you could have zero brain cells and just knock off every Twitch feature for feature, and at least be a similar service, right? Like, at least be no worse. And they weren't even smart enough to do that. Like, that's just, you really have to be pretty, you got to have a lot of tumbleweed up there to literally do as little as YouTube gaming has done.
That's nothing.
Chris says, make content, not just person playing video games. Yeah, that happens on Twitch also, Chris, right? Like, there's plenty of content, not just people playing video games on Twitch. David says, facts. Sorry, I can't read this name. How long is this going to last for? We go usually about an hour and a half for those who are new here, is the typical length of our live streams. All right, guys, David mentioned it, so I think we have to talk about it. And I'm going to bring up the Doc again. By the way, Asmongold calling it worse than Mixer. That was I have such respect for Asmongold, because, YouTube being worse than Mixer, that's a pretty bad dig.